Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Center for Practical Spirituality, where we get you started so that you can be ready for the week. Okay, so, I'm going to share something. Yesterday, I went to the H-E-B right there in Almos, and I hadn't been there in quite a while. And I was doing my shopping and everything else. And, I had my little list. You have to have lists now, because if not, forget it. It's like you'll just end up putting stuff into your basket. But anyway, as I was meandering and going through, all of a sudden I see one of my buddies, one of my chaplain buddies. And it was like, and so he didn't see me, but I saw him. So then what I did was I kind of like just maneuvered to the right, and I said, well, excuse me, sir. And he didn't hear me. So I said, excuse me, sir. And then I said his name. And he goes, well, I said, what are you doing in my part of town? He goes, oh, Katrina. He goes, you're in my part of town. I said, okay, we're in each other's part of towns. And so we were just kind of talking back and forth. It was great seeing him. Well, then, fast forward about another 30 minutes, I'm approaching and going towards getting into the line, right? And all of a sudden, I see... No. I take that back. I didn't see anybody. I was thinking in my brain, like, okay, I already got this. I was looking at my little list. And then all of a sudden, this lady from out of the blue looks at me, but I couldn't see, she had her hand like this kind of, so I was just seeing the glasses. And whenever you have glasses, sometimes, you can't really tell. Well, she recognized me immediately, and she goes, Katrina! And I went, yes. Like, okay. And then she put her hand down, and I knew exactly who it was. And so all of a sudden, it's kind of like I end up going to one H-E-B, and I bumped into two people, and I was just like, well, wow. So anyway, needless to say, San Antonio is still a small town, by the way. San Antonio is still a small town, by the way. Just know that, okay? No matter where you go, what you're, where you can be at. I was somewhere. I was at the rodeo. And I went to the rodeo with my coworkers and some other people. And so I was walking. And then all of a sudden, it's kind of like I hear my name, Katrina. And I was like, what? And I turned. And once again, somebody actually recognized me. It was hilarious. I saw 7 people at that one place. The rodeo, out of all places. The rodeo. I know what I'm telling you. That place is very small. I mean, the rodeo's small. San Antonio's a small town. I know what I'm saying. I can't go anywhere without people not recognizing me. It's kind of like it is so refreshing. It's kind of like, it's actually a nice thing. Every once in a while, I kind of get a little like, man, do I really want to be recognized? Because it's like, whoo, boy, howdy. It's kind of like whenever you walk into a venue and it's like, and all of a sudden they recognize you, but you don't recognize them. You're like, oh, okay. Or they tell you, it's like, I met somebody that, and you're just like, oh, Lord. Anyways, it is so good to be here. I wanted to go ahead and just get you started with some, fun little tidbits about H-E-B, and H-E-B is fantastic. Still going great. Still going at those prices. I look forward to wonderful prices. I'm just so glad that we have plenty to spend, spare, and share. I just keep on saying thank you. Our bank accounts are absolutely stupendous, and miracle upon miracle is we have avalanches of abundance surrounding us every single day, and that is the truth. That is the truth. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our statement of being. God is all, both visible and invisible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. And so it is. And so it is. So today, I want to go ahead and kind of remind you guys Let me see if I can find it here. Here we go. So today is going to be a major shift in our rare grand planetary alignment involving the moon, Pluto, Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, and also Jupiter. And this is going to be from July 19th through July 25th. And it is going to be what they call a particular type of blanket. Hold on, let me find it here. Hold on, let me see. I can't remember the name of what the name of the blanket is. But anyway, so what you just have to know is that it's the number 4. And it's a blanket that's it's opening up, and it's actually going to help us so that we can create, align, and also, let me see if I can find the other one that was in here. I wanted to find it for us. I had found it earlier. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Here we go. Here it is. The barbelled basket. And it begins now. It's the most intense activation window and peak. So what are we activating and what are we doing? So the number one thing that we are to do, or that we're going to be amplifying, let me see if I can find it in here really quick, because it was very, it was really intense in the sense that we are going to be looking at, changing and visualizing what we're desiring. This is a peak moment for us to be able to do those things. And so right here, it's going to be rapid innovation, creative breakthroughs, and human evolution. So just know that right now, because of this particular once-in-a-lifetime planetary configuration named after Andre Barbalt, he went ahead and he actually discovered, and it's 4 fours. And so I just really want for you to understand that this is the moment in time for you to kind of, really focus and write down your desires and see where it is that you want to be at. And, it's time to clear out the negative and to also be able to start manifesting, demonstrating, and attracting at this very moment. So just know, it's kind of like this is because our outer planets dictate generational and societal trends. This heavy emphasis on fire and air elements mark a massive turning point away from old structures towards a collective era of rapid innovation, creative breakthroughs, and human evolution. So I just want for you to actually understand, it's kind of like we're going to elevate to a new level. And things are changing. It's kind of like that tower, whenever they kind of crumbles, guess what's happening? It's crumbling. Anyway, so with that being stated, I just want for you to know that there's going to be breakdowns and breakthroughs, major shifts happening later on this week, and up until the 25th, make things happen for yourself. It's kind of like, hola Sara, ¿cómo estás? Que Dios me la bendiga. So just know that this is the moment in time. Sorry, I'm moving too much. Just know that right now is the direct moment where we are going to be able to take care of our lives. And it's kind of like, know your purpose. Okay? Ask the universe, show me my next step. And what is your next step? Clear out the clutter. Get rid of, this is one way that I learned. It's kind of like, if that particular, dress or shoes or whatever it is has a negative connotation, get rid of it. Give it to somebody else so that they can get excited whenever they actually see it. There are so many different ways that you can actually just, and also the other way that you can actually be cleansing and rejuvenating. Take your right hand and just say, I now sever all of the negative energetic ties that are upon me and that have connected to me. I now sever them, permanently and with ease. And they're gone. Thank you. Yes. So let's go ahead and get into our wonderful Uplifting the Soul service. We direct our own lives. All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. Julian of Norwich. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all. Now, we have been seeing some atrocities happening, okay? For the past, we're going on 2 years, correct? If I'm not mistaken. We need to understand that these atrocities are happening because we're learning lessons. We had an opportunity, and I remember Dr. Ann Kunith. She, many moons ago, she said, it's kind of like, we learned the lesson, and if it ever repeats itself, it's not going to happen again. Ha! Anyways, we thought we had learned the lesson. Obviously, we did not. And so now, human evolution, being that human living document, we're expanding. And what is happening is that we're having to say, do we really want to continue down this path? If the answer is no, then you're going to take right action to make sure that going down this path is not going to continue. It's not going to continue. Someone asked, it's kind of like, well, if these people would have done X, Y, and Z, would you still have been opposed? Yes. Because anything that is harming and hurting others, I know that we can do better, ladies and gentlemen. We really can. And I know that a man named Jesus Christ would not in any which way, form, or fashion be backing up any of this hideous things that are happening, okay? And more importantly, it's kind of like Jesus, God, and the Holy Spirit, okay? Jesus, God, and the Holy Spirit, all of them being one. But remember that God does not have a gender. God just is. So there is not a spot that God is not. And that goes back to, we direct our own lives. Where does God live? Where does Jesus live? Where does feminine spirit live? In us, through us, as us. Where is the masculine spirit? Within us. And at all times, we are to, see the whole entire picture and say, what is the lesson that I'm learning here? Now, let's go ahead and get a little bit further into the study. Goodness was one of the hardest concepts for me. This is the author of today's topic, which is we direct our own lives. This hair is just driving me nuts. I do apologize. I keep on messing with it. Okay, there we go. Okay, even better. Okay, here we go. So goodness was one of the hardest concepts for me to embrace in my early days as a student of science of mind. For many years, I preferred the mystical concept that there is no good or bad, only what is. This implies that labels are determined by the observer. Okay, by the observer. Yet, it was impossible not to notice how often in his writings Holmes used the word good. As a result, I have come to believe that Holmes in not making a moral claim, but rather identifying the nature of divine source. He expressed his understanding of source not as indifferent or hostile, but as exceedingly harmonious, life-giving, expansive, and fulfilling. Whenever we are living in truth, whenever we are living in joy, whenever we are living, let's say that the spectrum, is 0 to 100. 100 being, God, Jesus, Gandhi, all of the greats. Because they've hit that level. Once you're at that level, then there's other levels that we just won't talk about for right now, because many of us can't even understand the levels between 0 and 100, okay? Whenever you are under 50, you're still having problems, financial problems, you're still being, lackadaisy, you're still having, all of these particular things, oh my goodness, and, it's kind of like you're not in tune. When you're at 50 and above, your problems start becoming trivial, okay? When you're at 50 and above, it's because you're connected. It's like the Matrix. Whas! You're connected into truth. You're connected with source. You're connected with infinite intelligence. Wisdom goes before me and make things right. My angels go into the courtroom and make things right. That's what one lawyer went ahead and stated that he or she was doing before they would actually even go into court. The angels, their choir, their guards, their guardian angels were going into the courtroom and already taking care of, the whole entire case, to the favor. God is in the midst of this situation, blessing and resolving to our benefit. Let the truth be revealed by somebody else. You have already gone into that exam room and you have already taken the exam and you have the positive results that are yours by birthright and divine right. You are now healthy, whole, and complete of heart, mind, body, and soul. You claim it because it is your truth. 50 and above, you're going to be in this particular realm of knowingness that, as Kayanne stated earlier, as she was going through her courses in college, to become a nurse, it's kind of like serendipitous. All of a sudden the serendipity kind of like things started happening, meaning that all of a sudden she would meet the right people, and it was all of a sudden she had, instead of having to drive 3 hours, to come to class, she was just having to, go 30 minutes or 20 minutes because she was able to find a roommate for an apartment. The other is that instead of having to take all of these classes and remedial courses, she would take the tutoring that she needed so that she could actually pass, and then, pass the classes and the courses that she had to take, and instead of her having the anxiety way up here, she was able to bring it down because of the fact that she was at the right place at the right time, but she continued to be in line with source and infinite intelligence. So it continues we direct our own lives. We are guided. We ask for that guidance. We ask to be shown. But you have to be aware and your eyes wide open so that you can see exactly where you're needing to go. So it continues here and it says, in much the same way, Julian of Norwich, some 650 years earlier, through her direct mystical experience, described divine reality as an unchanging goodness. Even in medieval Europe, she experienced the divine not as punitive, resistant, or indifferent, but as a benevolent and life-affirming. Holmes also saw eternal presence as compassionate, demonstrating through its eternal loving kindness and givingness, without influencing our choices or direction, but instead just giving to us in love and abound with love. To me, this is the author. The good of God is that we can direct our lives through creative mind. Let me say that out loud and for those in the back to hear this. God is that we can direct our lives through a creative mind that transforms what we express into what we experience. That is very, very good. It is my divine nature to be eternally good, kind, generous, and life-affirming. Now, okay, so a lot of people, you guys know that, I went through a lot many years ago. It was 9 years ago, so on and so forth. And I just recently posted that the saving grace that I had whenever it came to that moment in time in my life was my mother, my dogs, and my cats. Okay? Because, and also wanting to know who, what, when, where, how had done what they done to my husband. So if not, it's kind of like I wouldn't have stayed on this earth. Let's put it that way. But obviously, even through all the hardships and one of the greater tragedies, we direct our own lives. And the way that I directed my life was because I kept on saying, it's kind of like, only good is going to come from this whole entire situation. Kayanne, do you remember that I would always say that? It's like, only good is going to come from this whole entire situation. And only good did come from this whole entire situation.
You said that through tears sometimes.
Say that again?
You said that through tears.
Oh, I said it through tears. I said it through anger. I said it through, echando madres y padres y tatarabuelos. I mean, I'm telling you, the emotions were intense. Why do I talk about this? Why am I talking about we direct our own lives? Because we have the power to choose. That's our superpower. Our superpower is the power to choose. Once you choose, either left or right or up or down or upside down or turn around, whatever it is. The question is, did you learn the lesson? That's the bigger question. Did you learn the lesson? What is the lesson that I am learning right now? What is the lesson that is being presented to me right now? What is the lesson that I am to learn? What is it that God Himself is wanting? Because God just is. God is right here. God is in every single thing that we end up experiencing. God is in the universe. There is not a spot that God is not. The question is, what is the lesson? And did you learn it? Did you learn it? I know one lesson I do not want to repeat. No. I'm just like, it's no. It's like, I don't, it's kind of like every time that something kind of gets me, I'm like, oh, no. I learned that lesson right there and then. I had a person who ended up, kind of like, dangling a carrot. Oh, Katrina, look. And I was like going, Katrina, we direct our own lives. Now, if you go down that path, do you remember whenever you actually did go down that path? Do you remember your tears? Do you remember this? Do you remember that? Did you not learn your lesson? And I'm like, no, I did. Okay, well then guess what? You are going to have the gumption. You are going to have the intelligence, the infinite intelligence, and the infinite courage to say what? No. When you say no, people may not like you. People may not come around you. People may, whatever it is. Boy, howdy. And boy, is it sometimes lonely. But you're never alone. It may appear, the appearances may be that way, but you're never alone. I know what I'm saying. I know it. So the other day, and I'm going to say this, we direct our own lives, right? Okay, yes. So the other day, I had my mother, Mona. I'm telling you, I could feel her presence. Sorry, guys, I'm a little parched. Let me drink some water. Hold on. I felt like that camel. So, all of a sudden, it's kind of like I felt my mother's presence. And I was just like, oh, Dios mío, Mom, what do you want? ¿Qué quieres, viejita? What is it? What is it? Because whenever I feel, very rarely do I feel her presence. But when I do, it's overwhelming. She was a very, she was a spitfire. Lord have mercy. It's kind of like, and so then I knew she was around. And I was like, well, I know why. I remember. I said, oh, well, I did pray, for you to help me. It's kind of like, okay, do what you need to do, Mom. Not a problem. So then, all of a sudden, I get a text, like 1 or 2 days later, I get a text from Karen. And all of you who don't know who Karen is a lady who actually took care of my mother when my mother was alive. Karen sends me a picture of a shirt. And I'm like, oh my goodness, okay, what does it say? And it said something, Mom. And I said, oh, thank you. Because I really didn't know what it said. So I had to go and take her some stuff. And so all of a sudden, it's kind of like Christine, which is her neighbor, she came to grab the things that I was dropping off, and so she brought me the shirt. So all of a sudden, the shirt, you open it, and it says, in loving memory of my mom. And it said, always on my mind and forever in my heart.
Cool.
And it was really, really cool. So the next day I wore it and everything, but it tugged at my heart. It really did. And then for it to come from Karen, and Karen has, Mom and Karen were like 2 peas in a pod, okay? They really were. And so for Karen to give that to me, it meant a lot. It really, and to this day, it still means a lot. And at that point, I knew that my mom was with me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. And I was just like, okay. Because I had the overwhelming feeling of wanting to talk to her. And so now, you can't pick up the phone. And you can't hear their voice, So what I had done was I was in my private place where I go to, and I was telling her, it's kind of like, Mom, this is what's bothering me, esto es lo que están haciendo, blah, 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 and this and this and this. I wish you were here, and da-da-da-da-da, because then I'd be able to do this, and da-da-da-da-da. And by the time I knew it, she answered. So I'm sharing this with you because we direct our own lives. If you don't listen to when the universe, to when those that are around us, that we do not see, but we feel, if you do not listen to them, like in Disclosure Day, shut up and listen, just, God, that's the only part that they didn't say in there, it's kind of like, shut up and listen. And I know that sounds horrible, but lots of times we have to say it out loud. It's like, quiet. Listen to the flags that are flapping at 100 miles an hour and saying, go right, don't go left. Or go left and don't go right. Or turn around. Or, better yet, don't call them. Don't look for them. Let them go. They are not for you anymore. And God only knows who this message is for. But when you learn that we direct our lives because the God in us, through us, and as us, the wonderful, loving, infinite intelligence in us, as us, and through us is showing us our next step. Our ancestors that are on the other side, they are showing us our next step. They are guiding us and saying, hey, don't do that. We have to listen. And that's where this wonderful little affirmation, it is my divine nature to be eternally good, kind, generous, and life affirming. When you affirm life, life then affirms you. When you affirm life, then life affirms you. Let me say that again. When life is affirming, when we're affirming life, life then affirms us. When you affirm and confirm and state, claim and proclaim that you have avalanches of abundance, you have plenty to spend, spare, and share, that your wonderful bank accounts are just, they're full. My bank account is always, always full, always, abundant. When you affirm this, not just affirm it, but you see it, all of a sudden, boom. It's only Kayana and I here today, okay? Ever since the pandemic, it's kind of like, ever since 2020, it's kind of like, it's been different. Am I going to stop just because it's just Kayana and I here, two people? No, I'm not. We're going to continue going. We're going to continue preaching, teaching, uplifting the soul, because there are so many out there that are truly needing this word, that are truly needing to be uplifted, for their souls to be upheld to a higher understanding, and for them to understand that each and every one of us are directing our lives, because God isn't just out there. God is in us, through us, and as us.
Since the pandemic, everybody's gone online.
Yeah, since the pandemic, a lot of people have gone online, which is very true. And, it's not about following. It's about, taking responsibility. It's kind of like, I was told the other, own it, Katrina. Well, I own it. I own, regardless of whatever I do, whatever I don't do, I own it. The crazy thing about it is that, this is the funny thing. They're going to be owning it. Yeah. That's what people forget. With good will, doing service as to the Lord and not to men. Ephesians 6:7.
Ephesians what?
6:7. With good will, doing service as to the Lord and not to men. Obedience. It means, when we're obedient, I need to drink some more water. Sorry, guys. Whatever blew in with this wonderful, heat, has dried out my mouth. Anyway, my throat. What we have to understand is that we're being invited. We're being, we're elevating. During this moment, this blanket that's coming over, we are going to be getting rid of the old ways of doing things. It's no longer going to be that patriarchy, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be the matriarchy. And it's no longer just going to be human beings. It's going to be aliens. Okay? And I know that this sounds crazy. I know that this sounds, out of this world. But you know what? We're not the only ones here. We have had this illusion. And we have to understand that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Stop limiting yourself to the box that so many want to put us into. Can you imagine Can you imagine if I would have stayed in the box that so many people wanted to put me in? I wouldn't be here today. The box that, that my culture wanted to put me in. The box that, I had one of my grandparents, he, said to me, or whenever I was much younger, "Oh, mija, you'll be a good secretary." My mother just about died. She looked at me, once we got into the car, she looked at me, she goes, "You are not going to just be a secretary." Now, take into consideration my mom was a secretary at one time, okay? There is nothing wrong with a secretary. But my mother was like, "Oh, no." And I was like, "But Mom, being a secretary is okay." I was administrative assistant. I learned a lot. I mean, oh my goodness. But for my mother, she was like, "Oh, no, you're going to be more than just that." She really wanted for me to, she wanted for me to be a nun. Instead, I'm a reverend. Exactly. Instead, I'm a reverend. So I took it a step higher. I mean, I have nun friends, and not a problem. But me being a nun, no, okay? And then she wanted for me to be a lawyer. Oh, no. I mean, yes, but then I was like, no, I'd like to be able to see myself on a daily basis and love myself. Lawyers are fantastic. Lawyers are phenomenal. But Katrina had a different path, okay? And, of course, Senator Frank Madela, may he rest in peace, because he was not a happy camper whenever I changed my pre-law to religious studies. He says, "¿Qué vas a hacer con eso? What are you going to be doing with that?" Well, here I am, okay? This is what I'm doing, okay? You may have a plan, and then God is going to laugh. And that's exactly what happened to me. I had my plans. And then God looked at me and he goes, "Good plan, Katrina. Good plan. I have something else in store for you." That's what we need to understand. So as we direct our own lives, remember that you and God are conspiring to work together. There's another saying that I'm always saying. Hold on, let me think about it. I need to think about it because it's prudent right now for me to remember this saying, so that you'll understand God's desire is our heart's desire, and our heart's desire is God's desire. There is no separation. None. God and I are a majority. That's so very true. And I want to say this. The tides are turning. And I know what I'm saying because I now see it. I now feel it. I now sense it. And it's only going to get better from here. It's going to be, woo! If you only knew. If you haven't seen Disclosure Day, go see it. If you haven't seen The Odyssey, go see it. If you haven't seen The Matrix, go see it. It is time for us to go to the next level of understanding and awareness. And no, there's another movie that's really fantastic. The Men in Black as well. You have to understand that the universe is speaking to each and every one of you. And it is now time for you to connect to Source, to the infinitude of infinite intelligence. It is now time, as I'm here with my little cuernitos. It's kind of like I have little cuernitos on me. What can I tell you? Life is sweet. Life is full of surprises. And today, the biggest surprise is going to be that you and me, we direct our own lives. Because God's desire is our heart's desire. And our heart's desire is God's desire. Listen. 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 Listen to the gap. And what is the gap? The gap is the, okay, so I'm going to try to explain the gap to you guys. Because this is my second or my third time talking about the gap. The gap is, okay, you see how my hands are coming together? You see the gaps in between my fingers and my palms? That's the gap. So the gap is, this is one thought, and this is the other thought, and then in between, that's the gap. They come together, you can barely see it. You can see the gap. That is the gap. And that's where God resides. And in your mind and in your soul and in your body, that's where God is. And in your mind and in your soul and in your body, that's where God is. In your mind and in your soul and in your body, that's where God is. The gap. Ladies and gentlemen, I do pray that you enjoyed today's lesson because it was, just a little different. But then, of course, Katrina has always been a little different. What can I say? Oh, and I have to show you this again. Hold on. I just love these things. It's kind of like a different color every. The things that make me laugh, okay? The things that make me laugh. Anyways, I know that you guys are having an absolutely... Do we have any more FIFA? Do we have any more soccer? I don't know if we do or if we don't. Hold on. I think because of the fact, whatever's going on, may the very best team win. Especially right now, it's kind of like we just love our soccer. Sorry, I don't know if it's still going or not. I think it is. Anyways, so we're just going to go ahead and continue to pray and just continue to uplift them. And I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for, allowing me to come into your home, to come into your life, to uplift you, and to just continue to bring smiles and joys and different ways of, bringing God consciousness, into your life and expand and get out of the box, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Most definitely. Well, with that being said, let us go ahead and hold our tithes and our offerings and our prayer requests. If you have any prayer requests, please put them into the thread and we will be more. Oh, okay. Spain versus Argentina. 0-0. Okay, well, I'm going to go for Spain. And the only reason I'm going to go for Spain is because of the fact that my godson is in Spain. So I'm going to go ahead and go for Spain. Right? Yeah. Plus, my last name, one of my last names is Cortez, and the other one was Coronado. So, well, okay, I'll go for the Spain. Okay, we're going for Spain. Anyways, let us go ahead and hold our tithes and our offerings in our hands. And also, if you have any prayer requests, please put them into the wonderful thread, and we will be praying for you. And so let us say together, divine love in me, as me, and through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. And so it is. Amen. And hallelujah. Most definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, please know that we are here. We're usually here at, from about 2:15 all the way till about almost 4 o'clock. So, come on over. And we look forward to seeing you in the very near future. We are located at the First Unitarian Universalist Church. So, welcome. Thank you. We'll see each other soon, okay? I'm ready for a miracle. I'm ready for a miracle. I'm ready for a miracle today. I've got my mind in tune for one. I'm ready to experience one. I'm ready for a miracle today. My mind is open, ready to receive it. My heart is opened all the way. I do accept a miracle. I do accept a miracle. I do accept a miracle today. I do I do receive a miracle. I do receive a miracle today. Very good, very good. Yay! May the power of the Father, the love of the Son, and the freedom of the Holy Spirit be with you today and always. And so it is. And so it is. See you guys next Sunday. Bye.